So be honest with me, friends. Just how peaceful do you feel these days? Hey friends, it's Pastor Mike from Fellowship Church. Always enjoy connecting with you midweek. Hope you're having a wonderful week. Know that we love you bunches. That question for you again, just how peaceful do you feel these days? I don't know about you, friends, but for myself and for a lot of other people I know, it feels like these days are just filled with anxiety and worry and fear. Of course, we're living in an election season, and the election season got a lot more complicated last week with an assassination attempt. Wars continue to be waged in faraway places like Ukraine and Israel. We read other news sources, places we're used to collecting information from, and there's no shortage of things that might cause you some sense of unrest in your soul. So friends, how peaceful do you feel these days? And of course, as followers of Jesus, we recognize that Jesus is the Prince of Peace, so we even feel a little bit of guilt when we don't feel peace in an anxious world. That just makes us feel less peaceful. So what's the solution to all this, and how do we make that peace thing work? Well, friends, there's a passage in the book of Colossians, New Testament book, letter from Paul, Colossians 3:15, and it simply says, "Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts." So I like the idea of the peace of Christ. That tells me it's coming from Jesus and no place else. And when the Bible says something like, let something take place, it means that I have to adopt a passive position, meaning I can't force it, I can't grab a hold of it and make it mine. I have to simply let it fill me. So I'm going to be a little bit passive in this, and that's not always a comfortable thing either. So we're going to let the peace of Christ rule in our hearts. That still sounds a little bit complicated, but here's the really important part. It's the word rule. Now, the word rule in the Bible is the word they would normally use to describe what happens in a kingdom. Now, we don't use a kingdom form of government. We use other forms of government. Most nations around the world do. But in a kingdom form of government, there's a king who rules. There's the king, there's the nation. Everyone else in the nation are the king's loyal subjects or something. So the nation, biblically speaking, was literally known by the king, and the king was at the top of the pecking order, top of the food chain. So here's what the Bible says about peace. Let it rule. Let it reign. Let it be the predominant thing in your heart. Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts. So let me ask you that question again, the first question. Would you say that the peace of Christ is ruling over every other feeling, emotion, or value, or goal, or priority that you have in your hearts these days? If not, you need to get some other things out of the way. And let me show you how important this is. If you've ever played the game of chess, you know that the goal of chess is to take your opponent's king. Why? Because the king symbolizes a win. Jesus talked about the enemy of your souls. The enemy of your souls, friends, I believe, wants to steal your peace, wants to take your king, that king that's in your hearts, because once the peace is conquered, everything else starts to fall really quickly. When you're anxious and worried and fearful, your emotions start to unravel pretty quickly. But the king is supposed to be your peace. So friends, may the peace of Christ rule in your hearts. May the peace of Jesus Christ be that one thing under which everything else takes place. May you filter the world around you through that peace, and may it reign in your hearts today. I pray that's true for you and for everyone else that I know and love too. Hope you have a wonderful week. Take care. God bless. Bye-bye.